Did you know up to 30% of children aren't biologically related to the man raising them? That means millions of fathers are paying child support for kids who aren't even theirs. Imagine a world where every baby gets a mandatory paternity test at birth. Truth delivered in the delivery room. No rumors, no doubts, no excuses. But before you call it scientific justice, ask yourself, are we prepared for what comes next?
Ain't that a man?
We throw around terms like welfare fraud and deadbeat dads. But sometimes there's no fraud and no debt, just biology. Studies show non-paternity, children raised by non-biological fathers, rates range from 1% in long-term monogamous families up to 30% in higher-risk groups like new relationships or casual encounters. Let that sink in. A conservative average of just 10% still means 1 in 10 men could be paying child support for a child that isn't theirs. In the US alone, with 4 million births per year, that's potentially 400,000 men every year, putting billions of dollars into the wrong pockets. And that doesn't even account for alimony, child custody fights, emotional distress, or illegal immigration fishing for benefits. This isn't hypothetical. It's happening right now. Let's talk dollars. The average child support right now, around $575 per month. Multiply that by 12 months, times 400,000 men a year. You're talking $2.7 billion annually going straight to kids who may not be biologically theirs. Over a decade, that number tops $27 billion, all from men assuming parenthood at birth. And guess what? Courts don't usually reimburse that money if a DNA test comes later. One and done, men pay out forever. That's how systems built to help children turn into generational financial traps for men who thought they were being responsible. Now, imagine pushing reset with mandatory paternity testing before discharge. A cheek swab test completed within hours of birth. Instant clarity. Dad, checked. Not your child? Zero support. No paper chase. No emotional fallout. No alimony. Debts for uncle preferences or stranger mistakes. In fact, most Western countries don't require it. They restrict it. France criminalizes unauthorized paternity tests. The UK won't let you do one without consent or a court order. Privacy over truth, that's the current policy. Mandatory at birth, that's modern DNA meets ancient masculinity. Transparency, accountability, fairness, all from day zero. Let's talk emotion. Fathering is primal. You hold the baby. You feel that bond. Imagine you love the kid. Then a test says it isn't yours. Pain, betrayal, rage. But now you have to know. No uncertainty, no illusions, no false promises. And for mothers, mandatory testing removes the fear of he'll leave if he doesn't believe me. No more covert paternity disputes. Truth stops playing games before it even starts. But this isn't just about fairness. It's about control. We already require heel prick screens for PKU, sickle cell, congenital diseases. Genetic samples are collected, stored, and protected under law. Paternity testing piggybacks on that system. One test, one database. But who gets access? Absent fathers, child support enforcement, criminal investigators, big pharma. Ethical boundaries start with who's holding the record. If mandatory testing was national policy, so would be national access. You can't have clarity in paternity without centralized data, period. But every truth has casualties. What happens when a man learns? Day one, this isn't yours. Some leave, some pay cash off the books, some fight for visitation anyway. If a mom lies about the father, can she be prosecuted? Not really. There are no felony paternity fraud laws in most US states. A few, like Tennessee, might call it a misdemeanor. But even then, the bar for proving intentional fraud is sky high, and actual prosecutions, basically a myth. And don't let them fool you with the best interest of the child line. Courts don't prioritize kids, they prioritize their own pockets. Child support systems feed states billions in federal incentives. The longer a guy keeps paying, the fatter the system gets. Even if a man finds out years later that he's not the father, too bad. Pay up. Biology doesn't cancel bureaucracy. But here's what could change. If mandatory DNA testing became standard at birth, it would open the floodgates. Suddenly, all those old paternity rulings, based on vibes, lies, or signatures under pressure, could be challenged. Expect a storm of lawsuits, overturned judgments, custody chaos. This isn't just a policy change. It's a social earthquake. And in places where women already outnumber men, the fallout could be massive. Rising divorce rates, fewer marriages, fewer births, and backlash from communities, even religious leaders, who see it as an attack on family trust. Truth is powerful, but it's never clean. And in this case, it could blow up everything we've quietly tolerated. Despite the chaos, there's upside. Men get knowing consent on fatherhood. Women get clear responsibility. No more games. Children get 2 proven parents, legally and genetically. Could this reduce poverty? Children from single-parent and step-parent families have higher poverty rates and lower levels of educational and occupational attainment than children who grow up with both their biological or adoptive parents. 2-parent verified households stay together longer. Nationwide, that's fewer kids in single-parent care, fewer welfare cases, fewer emotional scars. Mandatory testing flips the script. Responsibility becomes transparent before it becomes complicated. Hold up, mandatory test. Smells scary? Privacy advocates warn about unwarranted surveillance and government DNA hoarding. Libertarian minds bristle. Who are you to enforce truth at birth? Ethnists argue it undermines trust and autonomy, painting men as child predators until proven otherwise. But recognize what this is, not a gender war. It's a demand for structural transparency, no fairy laurels or legacy secrets. Feelings don't override facts. Biology doesn't lie. Picture this in real life. Street interviews. I paid for 18 years. She lied at conception. I'm haunted by every Christmas. I'm living with my son and it wasn't mine. Now, I wish we'd tested back then. Some men walk away. Others say, I don't care who's real, he's my kid. Others shrug. DNA's the language of trust. Let me have the facts. In a University of Washington survey, approximately 50% of men and just 32% of women said they'd support routine paternity testing at birth. The study sampled 811 US adults in 2004, so views may have shifted, but that insight remains provocative. Okay, but how does mandatory paternity testing actually unfold? Hospital staff collects DNA samples from the baby, mother, and alleged father as part of routine birth care protocols. Certified labs process the test in 24 to 48 hours. Results are sent through a secure health portal, straight to the mother, the alleged father, and child services. No paper trail, no leaks, just cold truth, encrypted. If a mismatch appears, no child support, unless the man contests and voluntarily accepts responsibility. Optional declaration of voluntary support remains available, but no more forced fatherhood by default. Privacy rights lock in fast with encrypted access trails and GPS-level audit tracking of data use. And yes, implementation is cheap, $30 per test. Multiply that by 4 million US births per year. That's just $120 million annually. Compare that to billions lost in wrongful child support, fraud, and legal disputes every year. $120 million? That's pocket change compared to the price of lies. All right, here's where it gets raw. Mandatory truth sounds clean on paper, but real life, it bleeds. Some women may try to game the system, switch partners just before birth, delay the paperwork, avoid the test. Some men, once freed by DNA, will vanish, leaving a mother unsupported, emotionally and financially. Even in cases where the test confirms the father, psychological trauma still hits. Accusations, doubts, broken trust, none of that gets erased by science. Law enforcement or child protective services could pressure hospitals for access, turning DNA from tool to weapon. And in some countries with harsher patriarchal norms, that same test could be used to shame women disown children, or erase mothers from legal records entirely. At best, it brings fairness. At worst, it opens a Pandora's box of lawsuits, lost bonds, silent trauma, because while DNA offers clarity, it doesn't offer comfort. A positive test can bring relief. A negative one shatters worlds. The same science that gives fathers answers also takes their history away. This isn't a clean room operation. You can't sterile wipe human lives. And here's something almost no one's ready to admit. Mandatory testing could push up abortion rates. Not because women don't want kids, but because some don't want proof. Right now, if you're unsure who the father is, you still have deniability. You can guess, you can lie, you can move on. But if DNA's coming on day one, that lie becomes a viral receipt. And in the age of screenshots and social shame, exposure hurts more than the truth. We already know over 50% of women have a backup partner, that cheating rates are rising, and that social media turns betrayal into entertainment. So for some, pregnancy won't just be a life decision, it'll be a reputational risk. But isn't chaos sometimes the cure? History is full of lies we only fixed by facing the pain. Child marriage, forced inheritances, fake family trees passed down like gospel. This isn't an atom bomb, it's a scalpel. It doesn't destroy families, unless those families were built on deception. Mandatory paternity testing may be loud, it may be awkward, but isn't honesty worth a little noise? Because a family that survives the truth is stronger than one built on silence. The moral snap. So let's bring it home. Let's simplify this. Men deserve to know the truth about the children they raise. Children deserve two informed parents, emotionally, financially, biologically. Society deserves transparency before tragedy. Some will scream privacy, others will say it's too late. But maybe the real question is this: are we finally ready to stop paying for other people's secrets? Because once DNA enters the room, there's no undo button, just decisions. Mandatory paternity testing doesn't degrade family, it redefines it based on truth, not tradition. Because at the end of the day, a father isn't just a word on a birth certificate, he's a promise. And promises are made in blood.
Manifest, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.